First of all, I want to thank to Gilbert for having here and fellow speakers. I'm still very new, so mine was probably briefer and simpler. Yet to experience a lot of what they have gone through, but I hope that what we are sharing is I guess it's a process, and I don't know how much more I can share. I'm still under charge for a few things. Investigation's not done, and I'm going back and forth in court. So, good thing I'm an artist, eh? So I get to control my own time. Anyway, this was one of the first. This image is pretty important to me. It's one of the first few works that we collaborated to do on Pulau Ubin. This was at a house in the. I think I have a few friends. We have a few friends here who don't know Ubin yet. So it's basically an offshore island in Singapore. The northeast of Singapore. It's between Malaysia and Singapore, the island of Singapore. And this island used to have about 5,000 people, 3,000, 5,000 people working and living there. The islands of Singapore, there are about 50 of them, I guess, but some of them have huge villages, and Pulau Ubin is one of them. So I wasn't from there, but when I first touched down on the island and I saw what was left, what remains of the big village that used to be mining granite, and it helped to build the causeway, amongst other things. It's kind of really a ghost of what it used to be. There used to be a farm with ostriches in there, a lady who kept two buffalo and all that, an elephant who swam over in 1986 from Malaysia to Singapore and to Pulau Ubin and things like that. So that's missing, and that's missing from my life and my childhood. But yet the yearning for something more in my life in Singapore is still really important, and so I went to seek it out. And we've been using the arts to do this. And my wife, she's my number one patron, and we are crazy enough to do this, and we even got married on this island. So that's our context, yeah. So this was a little bit after, this was during that time, and so we dressed up the place, and we also put up the mural in there, and that's the taxi driver, a good friend of mine, Azman, who tells me all the stories of the Malay kampong, the indigenous people, the original people from Pulau Ubin who used to be there, where his the grandparents' graves are, the old school, so on and so forth. And there we are celebrating. The mural's done. He helped us with the wedding, and then I was told I couldn't paint on the walls anymore. So what I did was that I asked the minister, could I hang paintings on the walls? He said yes. Then okay, so I started. So I used to be doing theatre with, like Alvin, and he's an inspiration as well, Alvin, Richard and stuff. And then now I'm discovering this new part of me, what I'm doing. So, next slide. Yeah, so basically, I'll just speak more at the beginning and show you pictures later, save time. So basically, I think maybe I'll take them. So basically, what we are talking about is, thank you. So basically what we're talking about is, I used to do a lot of community artwork. I still do a lot of community artwork, sorry. So I do community artwork, and I've done that in hospitals. Me and Jody, we've done that at Yishun Hospital, St. Luke's Hospital, and NUH. We also we did disaster relief work in Philippines, Laos, Vietnam, so on and so forth, Yogyakarta. So I moved on from doing theatre on the stage. After I graduated, I was assisting with Audrey Wong as the first NMP, saw what Arts Engage was doing and stuff. And then I wanted to do more for those who, in the hospital who didn't have access to arts. And I loved this. I loved the work. So I moved on from doing big theatre shows to this. And then I moved on to the village. And you can see how we engage as best as we can. This is Azman sharing about his memory of his old primary school. Everything that he can remember. Where the toilet was, where the dogs were, how the teacher took the sampan across from Singapore, where the children used to play, where they had the flags, how the Malay crest looked, how the Pulau Ubin Melayu school looked like, and he's sharing with his 90-year-old quarryman friend. And so that's our work. We do this, and even though the people may know each other really well, at the end of the day, the outcomes, it develops culture, it develops trust, it develops a shift in possibilities, thinking about possibilities. But I think the scary thing, especially for the state, is the knowledge that we gain. So for me, the knowledge that I gain from working with the Ubin people and all their sensitive issues, the gaps, I'm collecting all of this, and I think that's pretty scary. That puts me in a place. And the things that we've been trying to work with them, but we didn't know how to get in. And I think that's something that Jody has taken over, while now I'm taking the sabbatical from my company so that I could deal with the charges while Jody is working on maintaining the company, keeping it going for me. Okay, next slide. So I'll show you all the pictures later. So the next step, we feel that after doing the community art and the engagement and gaining the knowledge and giving the possibility of changing the status quo, is to then, of course, build cultural capital. And I think the cultural capital in Pulau Ubin is really special, with the wonderful stories in the past. And the thing is that these villagers, I mean, they don't read and write. What they're counting on is stories, oral history. They're counting on their memory, they're counting on photographs. They actually love art. And you go into the middle of a kampong house and you see really good paintings from 1996 or something like that, you know. So we're trying to build the artworks that commemorate the cultural heritage. We've got social media and stuff to build, and of course we want to build the venues. We want to build spaces where we can do more work, especially for the youth. Next slide. So I guess what we're doing is a little bit offensive. I guess we're not protesting against progress, but we are protesting against absolute loss of our heritage. So I guess that's a bit scary, because on one hand, currently Pulau Ubin is branded as, you know, I call it the eco family lah. You always have families going down, look at starfish together, discover spiders together as a family on bicycles. And then of course you've got the environmentalists. I'm not saying their work is not good or it's not important. It is really important. And of course ecotourism, divers, bird watchers and stuff. And that's great, but we kind of want to add the rest of community development, youth development, and engagement. Yeah. And at the end of the day, we used to sustain ourselves with grants. I'm not sure whether we can continue with the grants. We're trying to get heritage grant to continue our Pasar Malam projects and things. We live local, so we've got some cocoa from from the garden. Just now, we just came in from the island, you know. I help them move drinks. I use my labor and my youth to carry things, drinks off and off the boats, and then they give me food and drink and stuff. No, it's literally a cashless society in that sense. And we were hoping that art, but maybe for now, we're not sure. Okay, next. So the issues that we faced, number one, maybe the state couldn't account for this Ubin artist. They didn't know what to do with me. I wasn't like the others. Many of the other members, maybe they have a business plan. Maybe they are thinking about, you know, they asked us, how is our work providing cash or providing profits to the community? But a 70-year-old person who has a house of his own doesn't need cash and a farm, and you know, he needs respect, he needs integrity. I can't account for these things. And maybe there's an issue when locals are being seen to finally have someone who can write for them. Like, for example, my friend a friend of a provision shop uncle. I mean, I managed to translate his work and we put it on the Straits Times. We brought a printer to Pulau Ubin. That was probably one of the first printers in a kampong house they've ever seen, you know. So finally literacy and knowledge is definitely a very dangerous thing. And of course, maybe this essentialism that we're going back towards, that we're trying to provide to youth, that you don't have to be, as we have to bring, you know, our carbon footprint down, and as we have to really think about this capitalism, is this really the way to go, or should we really come back down to the basics and work with the environment? I mean, for me, I believe that as much as, I believe that the only way to love a tree is to use the tree. I mean, it's only when you depend on the tree for food, sustenance, shelter, you know, and when it's old and you cut it down to make a house, that's when you love it more. And I think they've forgotten that. And I told an MPAX officer, asked her, why you like your phone so much? Because you use it, right? So can you let us use the tree to do our program? You know, instead of finding us $2,000 for that? Okay, let's, and finally, the effect is that I feel that, number one, there's a very good momentum of youth that's happening. I'm pulling myself out officially, but I'm allowing, so they can go on ahead without me while I pursue my own personal career. There is what Terence Chong wrote some time ago in his, I think it's available on today. It's the possibility of a psychological space that Pulau Ubin offers. And so whenever someone threatens it, something seems to threaten the nostalgia of Pulau Ubin, Singaporeans tend to react. It could be a double-edged sword because right now, the idea of Pulau Ubin must stay nostalgic can also be a hindrance because it makes development of healthcare amongst other needs, of access to cash and all that stuff that tourists may need. It makes that very difficult to do as well because of our extreme nostalgic point of view. And lastly, I think thanks to the many different youth, there's now a better multilateral dialogue. Just 2 more minutes for me to go through images if you don't mind. Yeah. So this is where we started. Just very simple, very basic. I couldn't really draw back then, 2 years ago. Never did before, but I saw people doing it, so I was like, I went online and I started Googling and I tried to pick it up. Next. So I started doing sketches and I just gave it out. Sketch a little bit, sketch, give, sketch, give. Next. This is Arkok, who invited us to use his house for our wedding. Slide before? Sorry, before. This is his mom and our friend Belinda Low, right? Low? Tan. Belinda Tan, sorry. Anyway, mural artist Belinda, sorry, too many friends. She's the one who put this together, and I gave the idea, and she did the research, and she spoke to him, and based on his stories, we put this together. I stayed with him for about a couple of months. He was having a lot of issues, mental issues, and bowel issues. So I stayed with him, took care of him, washed up, cleaned up after him, fed him. We cooked for him and stuff for a while. Next slide. And then I got better, so I started giving, creating more portraits, inviting more artists, like Weeping over there, and she created a piece for Auntie over here, based on how much Auntie over here loves sunflowers. So she created a field of sunflowers for her home. Next. And then I did, these are boatman portraits that I did for them. Next. Foreign workers, Bangladesh workers. Next. And locals, this is taxi driver. Next. Landscapes. Next. Yeah. Next. This one, this is the Teochew Opera show that comes to Pulau Ubin once a year, twice a year if possible, maybe more. And this provision shop, it may be a piece on closed spaces of Pulau Ubin. Next. I did this for the Tua Pekong Festival, the temple 150th anniversary, so I did this to help them raise $8,000 for the temple reparations. Next. Then we did a gallery at My Art Space at Istana Park. Next. Then we engaged the youth. We did a little Pasar Malam. It was so small, just 3 small little stalls, but everyone got excited. And then we wanted to do more, but we weren't allowed to anymore. We did a bit of cooking classes in the house. We did parent-children workshops and art workshops. We engaged, this is the granddaughter of this uncle I painted, and we got her to bring all her siblings, cousins and stuff. We did a art market, Sunday market. We tried to do more than just sell art, but amongst other things. And then we did interviews, narratives. We brought healthcare. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah. So we brought healthcare, culture, Lantern Festival, Chinese New Year, and here I am having to help them because there's only 2 or 3 young people there left. So we got to bring all the drinks from the boats. Then we got really a lot of attention on Lian He Zhao Bao and this Good Guide video, which hit 100,000 views. Next. And so I got kicked out. So basically, this is what happens when you reject the narrative. Thank you.